What were some of the things that happened in your life that led you to the path that you're on today?
Well, you make me think of interdisciplinary studies, and they had us do a course on mise en scene, and it was all about showing the colors that affect emotion and that are meant for symbolic gestures. And I put together this whole thing with VHS to VHS from Anthony Perkins. Oh, I forgot the name of the movie where it's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and he turns there because of cocaine, and it's really epic and real mise en scene. And I made this whole thing where my speech in the class was synced with the VHS to VHS tape I had made, and it just blew everyone's mind. You know, they'd never had a multimedia thing like that. And so a lot of this has been just the art, because before I was making videos, and really there's as much intricacy in videos as there is in blowing glass, and that's what I was doing when I was picked up, you know, by George Humphrey to go be on TV. But I was blowing glass, and the video editing and the glass blowing to me are both the kind of similar intricacies. You got to have your prep work, you got to get this, you know, your template done, and then make it into something, and then make that into something else.
Right.
And,
you mentioned George Humphreys. What happened there when you ended up in Austin, Texas, and meeting the person that basically gave you your first shot, if you will, at getting your message across on live cable television?
I would have never thought of it. You know, I would have never even known there was a public access anything. I mean, the whole story is weird, right? A homeless man does my numerology on the bus. Turns out that we have similar reading. He happened to be carrying the Keys of Enoch, and that happened to be the only book I brought with me in my van that year. So the Keys of Enoch, J.J. Hurtak, like, what are the odds, right? So this homeless man with greased black hair, you know, fuzzy eye, says he has to do my numerology, gets all excited about it, does my numbers, and says, I need to know you. Follows me off the bus, finds out that I'm sleeping in my van on Christmas Light Street in Austin, and he's sleeping in his van, and has been for years, over here somewhere. And so he leaves a note on my van saying, you got to take these bus routes and go to the mall and listen to this guy talk. And I'm like, okay, you know, a homeless man tells me I should do this, I'll do it. No, he was great. Zoe was great, and I honor him every day. I don't mean to belittle him at all, because he did a great thing. It was Zoe that sent me there, right? And so this homeless man that I gave my attention and time to was the reason that I'm on television. So I follow his bus routes, and I go to the mall, and I'm at this mall going, what the heck's going on here? And I try to figure out, and I see some people, so I follow. I don't even know where I'm going, and it's George Green, who is a ex-Bilderberger, ex-Jimmy Carter financial advisor, and he's showing us Billy Meyer's Palladian craft. He's showing us the anti-gravity technologies, and he's showing us the Palladians themselves. And he is now publishing their books, right? Handbook for a New Paradigm. And I'm just like, this is crazy, right? But I got this long hair and dressed like a, you know, a Star Trek character, and so that's what the Palladians look like. And so I started pretending I was a Palladian. None of these people in Austin, Texas knew who I was. I was a homeless guy that lived in my van on Christmas Light Street selling glass at a festival, you know? And I started telling them what I knew. Now, you know, what I know is shocking, right?
And what was that?
Well, you know, how I predicted 9/11, how I predicted W would be forced into office, what I thought about how all of this was going to fall, and how, you know, Saddam Hussein thought he was Nebuchadnezzar reincarnated, and they used the Moab bombs to blow him up, and the significance of all of that, what W meant, and you know, what the numbers 9 and 11, how I came to these conclusions. And I'm not even sure. I pretended and slipped up every once in a while and called them Earthlings, you know, like, oh God, you Earthlings, and because I was pretending to be an alien. Because why couldn't I have been? They were sitting there believing George Green, showing them pictures of people that look like me that say they're from Pallades. Only her name was Shemyaza, right? So why can't I be Shemyazi, right? And they don't know. So anyway, at that moment, George Humphrey came over, and he was like this really tall, alien-looking guy to me, right? He's like 7 foot tall, blonde-haired, and just dynamic, you know, like zing, prisms in your face. You're like, oh, holy man, you know, what's going on? And he's like, you need a TV show. And I was like, I do? Yeah. And he says, would you do it? Would you do it? And within 5 minutes, I had to decide, would I do it? And I said, yeah, I guess I'd do that. I could do that. All right, I'll do it. And he said, all right. He wrote me a $180 check and said, here, go down to Access and get yourself a show. And that's how I ended up on the show.
So, what would you say, in brief, are some of the most important messages that you brought to Access TV?
Well, first of all, you know, the goodness of humanity. All right, that's number one. All I ever wanted people to understand, right, is that I have lived in home after home after home. I've been all over the United States. I've done all this crazy stuff. I live the life of what people think rich people live like, right? Because I'm always like skiing or on the surf or at the biggest concerts. You know, I've seen them all. I've been to them all. Anything that was really cool, I was there. Right? And I've been to all the protests. I've been to, you know, IMF, WTO, freaking freakouts and all of that. You know, so here I do all of this stuff, but I'm completely jobless, completely homeless, and just in the flow of the universe.
A wanderer, taking notes. And so you brought to Access TV, and of course the internet, with YouTube and Google Video, where a lot of us started first uploading in 2004, 5, and 6, you brought a lot of real-time experience dealing with society, living among society, in different groups, traveling amongst different people, learning what life's actually like, as opposed to the other perspective that some people have, which is sheltered, which does not include traveling, which does not include risk-taking.
And meeting of humans, you know, in order to eat, I had to meet someone. If I didn't have a friend, I didn't eat, right? So, you know, you were just basically out there forced into friendship. And there was so much of it that, you know, in Austin, I would go from gourmet buffet to gourmet buffet every night of the week. I had people wanting me there, you know what I mean? Like begging me to come along. And so a key ingredient of all that was to not freak out in the situation. A lot of people, the difference between me and a homeless person, I would be home free, right? A homeless person feels that they have been placed in that position, that the world has spit upon them and they are now in the gutter. I lay in the gutter because I can, right? I found myself laying on the street of Lawrence, Kansas when I first came here in '93. I had my head kicked back on the curb and I didn't care one bit. Laying out in the sun, I could have been topless, you know, it wouldn't have mattered to me. I was a road dog in life. But now I lived here, you would never see me laying in the street, right? So there's a huge difference that I realized in how we coexist and how our creative play is stifled. Because when I came to town, I could juggle up and down, I could sleep on the street, no one had any judgment of me whatsoever because, or I didn't care, right? Because I didn't know anyone, but now I know people. You could watch just the first 4 television shows and have my entire thesis laid out for you, which deals with interdimensional entities being transmitted into your soul through ritual, magic, or technologies. And this done through the powers of the ritual magic that's been passed down through the civilizations, through the secret societies. And so that's how, you know, we pulled in the Freemasons. When I introduced that concept to the people, now, the internet was young, the World Wide Web was young, and I was trying to introduce a concept, say, hey, look, the occult is part of your civilization. It is at the heart, even, of what your civilization was developed upon. And I used the Freemasons as an example. What I didn't understand was that people were going to think that, therefore, I was saying that was bad, right? Because they're used to that. They're used to that from the Christian pulpits, from the truther movements and all of that, that, you know, the occult's bad. Well, you know, it's bad. It's Satan. And I wasn't trying to say that, and I saw the reaction. I was like, whoa, you know, okay, so I've been learning about the audience and how to, because I had made enemies where I didn't mean to, and I'd made, you know, villains out of people I didn't mean to. Anyway, so Weird Stuff is actually designed because what we need now are tools. We need tools that are capable of letting you share the knowledge. We've been at this now for a decade, right? And all the information that we've got, we are so up to date. You know what I mean? There's nothing new under the sun at this point on the internet. But we need tools to then get that information from the internet out to the public and to the common people. So we made a coffee table book that has a lot of pretty colors and has, you know, popular themes. But next thing you know, you're learning about crisis actors at Sandy Hook, you know. You're learning about DARPA connections to both, you know, you're learning about how Superman's being utilized to program war. And then you're learning also about how people don't want to fight war. We start to look at how it's just engineered into the society, this type of abuse, the toys that are utilized and that are there to just, you know, bring about the Princess Warrior programming. And so right at the root of your Walmart store, you see the very roots of the destruction of youth, the destruction of innocence, the destruction of our very culture. And I challenge you to walk into any Target, Walmart, and check your children's aisles and see if you're not watching Princess Warrior programming, you know. And
these are the Bratzilla dolls that you have featured here, which I recently saw at Walmart. And there's definitely a lot of symbols that we see here. What on earth is going on is the...
Well, the latest ones are the alien hybrids.
Right, those are the latest ones, I suppose, since you published this. You talked about the Princess Warrior, basically, paradigm. And I independently have come to the same conclusions as you have been coming to your conclusion along with Jamie, the co-author. What is the Princess Warrior paradigm that so many are being conditioned to fall into? What is that?
Well, the human is good, and they don't want him to be. And they want you to believe all humans are evil. And so when you start to study the art of war and the killing that did not occur, you find out that humans don't kill. They don't want to kill one another. You know, 90% of the guns not fired in the Civil War, Indians war playing without death, you know. Humans don't want to kill. We're not that kind of being. And so what they have done is they've begun to engineer trauma-based mind control that then starts to, you know, generate these type of killers, right? And I mean, it still doesn't work. That's why suicide rates in the military are higher than kill rates.
Right.
It's the same thing, because they want us to be that, and the they that I'm speaking of roll up through the intelligence agencies, roll up through, as I start to analyze all the television shows. Actually, Stan Lee came out and said he was CIA on Chuck, and on television show, you know. But you start to see J.J. Abrams, CIA with Alias, you know, and Space Command through Stargate, and these are the fronts in Walt Disney, of course, one of the biggest ones that have openly told us that they're doing it. You know, it's not like they're proud of it. And of course they use phrases like capturing your imagination and creating new memories. This is literally what they mean. And that's where we got to come back. That's where the creative play comes out. That's where my message is its most strongest, is that, look, we're actually all a bunch of humans just enjoying you know, this planet. Right. The rest is mind control or sorcery. It's a magical spell if you really want to look at it.